Hey, it's Terry, and this is the Something Spooky review for Fantasy Island. Off the bat, I want to address the question, is Fantasy Island as bad as everybody says? Yes, it is. It is terrible. We'll build our way back to that point. But so, Fantasy Island was released in 2020 by Sony Pictures and Blumhouse. It was directed by Jeff Wadlow, who had previously directed Cry Wolf and Kick-Ass 2. I've never seen either of those movies, so I will withhold my judgments on Jeff, but this one certainly does not go his way. It was made with a $7 million budget and managed to make $47 million at the box office. This was in January 2020, so I don't think the pandemic affected its run too much, but it was available on streaming services a little bit early. So the fact that it still made $47 million, a lot of people saw it despite how bad it is, and how bad everybody knew it was supposed to be, because it has an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. 8%. That is one of the lowest reviews scores I've seen in recent times, at least to a big blockbuster production like this. And it's terrible. It's probably about right. The basic fiber of the movie is bad. There's really everything in the movie is bad. The writing is the worst. The writing is the worst part of this movie. It is so bad. The script deserves an F. It's just terrible. It's some of the worst writing I've ever seen. The acting is also very bad. And it just kind of runs through the whole movie. Like, just the general production of it just kind of collapses more and more as it goes. It's never scary, even a little bit. It's not a single scary moment in the movie, really. It's part comedy. It's, of course, based or derived from the old TV show Fantasy Island, which was not horror, had nothing to do with horror. And this is one of those kind of modern reinterpretations that we've started to see with the Banana Splits movie. And I guess maybe it is trying to retain elements of that show. I've never seen it, but it's very purposefully kind of cheesy, and it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. It's just bad. So I'm not going to bother with a lot of individual elements or a straight linear breakdown progression as I sometimes do, because honestly the film is not worth it. I know that's harsh, but it's just not worth going into every little thing that's wrong with the movie. It really just keeps going back to that everything is bad except for the only thing that saves this movie is that it is able to achieve the most fundamental competency possible because of its budget. You spend $7 million, you're going to get something. And so because of that, I was able to at least finish the movie. And there's only been a few movies ever that I've turned off because I just couldn't get through. I thought they were so bad. This one, I did at least make it to the end. And I even smiled once or twice because of how bad everything was, although it was not in a fun, purposeful kind of way. They weren't trying to make me smile at that point, which goes to one of the points is this, it's so bad, it's a good case? And I don't think so. It's really just bad. It's hard always to tell those things in the moment. So it's definitely just not very fun. Normally those movies that are so bad that they're good, they're kind of fun in a way, and it's not smart in any kind of way like that. It's just bad. You never know how time's going to treat something, and it is just that bad that maybe people will get together and have a good time just watching it and hating on it, basically. But I don't feel like it's supposed to be so bad that it's good. It's not going for that. Or if it is, it's not doing it very well, and it's not always consistent. Part of me feels like maybe at points in the movie, people realized how bad it was going to be and how hopeless it was, and kind of just gave up, because some of the performances do just kind of escalate, and they get more and more handball, and the whole movie just kind of starts, it can't decide if it wants to take itself seriously or not. So I wonder if part of that comes from this, maybe they realized how bad it was going to be and tried to embrace it, but it is not very effective in that so bad that it's good way, not even as well as something like a Sharknado. It's not that kind of purposeful cheese. It at points acts like it's going to be that, but it never really is, and it doesn't feel like it's the intention of the filmmakers, really. So this really just fails in every single thing that it achieves, that it tries to do. Like I said, it gets that basic competency that you get with a $7 million budget and a huge army of artists and filmmakers working on something. It's watchable. There are some pretty scenes that are captured on footage. The soundtrack is by Bear McCreary, who did the Godzilla King of the Monsters and Hellfest soundtracks. So it has those kind of elements that something with a lower production would be made even more unwatchable by. It has this basic competency in filmmaking that stops it from being something I turned off in a total failure. But any ambition that it has, anything that it wants to do or is trying to do, it fails at, and is not enjoyable, really, in any way. So it really just is disappointing because I've loved everything Blumhouse has done until this point. When I first heard about this movie, I was intrigued a little bit. I was like, oh, it's interesting that they're taking this old show, this concept. It's Blumhouse. I trust them. And I couldn't believe it when I started hearing how bad it was, because it just didn't seem like the company would be able to put out something that bad. And they have. It's very, very bad. I'm going to give Fantasy Island a D-. It's just about as bad as it could be. Like I said, the only thing that saves it from being an F, a total failure, are these basic elements that made the film, at least I was able to get through it once. And for me to give something an F, there's a few things that I would have to, I've just turned off because I couldn't even watch. I finished the movie. It fails almost every way. There's no way I would watch it again. Fantasy Island is terrible. Hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, give it a like, share it, and remember to follow something spooky.